Outlawed Thoughts.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. Guys, I am so happy to be back. It's been so long. It's been over a month since I put out a show, and you guys know I was in Reno last weekend, winning my vice chair election that so many of you guys supported me for. So thank you for that. It has been a wild ride, and I needed a little time off to get this thing finished. We traveled for 12 days with my family. All over the country, drove 5,000 miles. It was pretty wild. And right before I left, I got new internet. So I know you guys had a lot of problems with dropped frames on my old internet. Unfortunately, an animal chewed through my internet cable several months ago, and CenturyLink sucks and could not fix it. But in that time, Metrolink installed fiber cable in Iowa for the first time ever. So we have fiber now. We're running like 1 gig or something. So the stream should be a lot better. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. But we have a lot to talk about, and I brought on a good friend to talk about it tonight. So let's start off with some sponsors. Of course, we have the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner in crime and partner on the show in Break the Cycle, toplobster.com, where you get this great Ron Paul getting high on the ideas of liberty shirt that you see me wearing tonight by using BTC at checkout for a 10% discount. Or you can join the Patreon Subscribe Star or become a member of my YouTube channel under all of my videos by hitting the join link. Seriously, guys, if you're interested in helping me continue the show, continue activism, all that stuff, that's a good way to do it. It does help me out with the traveling and all that great stuff that I have to constantly do. I really appreciate all the support you guys gave me in the run-up to the campaign. As you may not know or do know, I am also running for state rep in Iowa in District 44 against a gentleman who is a pharmacist, took money from Pfizer and fought in the state of Iowa to try and lock us down and force vaccine mandates on us. So that's going to be a really interesting run. Today is actually today is primary day in Iowa. It's June 7th. And as long as the Republicans do not run anybody in this district, which I don't think they are, I will be running against the Democrat as a libertarian. I will be his only opposition. And boy, did he get some bad opposition because I don't play. You guys know that when I campaign, I don't play. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. As third party in Iowa, I don't have to turn in my signatures until August. So I have a lot of time to get a lot of stuff done. We'll be setting up at 4th of July booths and parades and doing all that stuff, knocking doors. I got a whole crew of door knockers that live in my house. They're a little short, but the kids enjoy the kind of stuff. My son and my daughter were with me on the convention floor when I won my vice chair race. So that was a really special moment for me and the kids. But I do appreciate you guys very much, man. And thank you for all the support. Again, let's check out anthemplanning.com for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at, much cheaper and much more efficiently. Please, seriously, if you guys own a business, go check them out. They're amazing people. If you know Amy Lepore, if you're a libertarian and you were at the national convention or watched it live, she gave that stunning, amazing speech for my good friend Karen Ann Harlos and her reelection. They were, she's just amazing. Amy Lepore is amazing. So please go check out her business and support libertarian-owned business from Delaware. I'd appreciate it. We do have another new sponsor, too, that will be coming on board for shows going forward. If you're listening to this on audio, you've probably already heard an ad for a new podcast that I will be working with, and they are sponsoring the show. The whole podcast theme is them going back to the beginning of VCW and watching those episodes. It's going to be pretty cool. Of course, you guys don't see this on the live show, but Dan Smots is also one of the sponsors from The System Is Down. His audio is clip is always in my audio shows as well. Guys, I missed you, man. I don't even remember how to do this podcasting thing. And then I got the new internet, and there was something wrong with my blind IP, so I had to change that on OBS. Pretty wild stuff, man. But I am happy to be back. And we do have a great show for you guys tonight. I'm very, very excited. I've been trying to do this show for a while. Almighty Beach, thank you so much, man, for the $20 super chat. Says congrats on your win. Anthony A., thanks for the $5 super chat. Praying for a big win in Iowa race. Can't wait to see you again soon. You're going to be at PorkFest. Yes, sir. I will be at PorkFest. I'm going to come to PorkFest Wednesday. Well, I'm flying into Boston. Hopefully someone will be able to pick me up from Boston and bring me to New Hampshire. Flying into Boston on Wednesday, and I'm leaving Sunday. So I will be there camped out for a couple days. I don't know what I'm doing there. I've talked to a couple people. I talked to Dennis and Sean and some other great people from the Free State Project. They're going to have me maybe do a talk. I don't know. I know I'm going to do some laid back stuff at the Mises tent. Of course, I'll be repping the Libertarian Party, the new and improved Libertarian Party. For those of you who don't know, the Mises Caucus swept the entire national board of the Libertarian Party and also the entire judicial committee, and are currently working on filling up committees. So the party is made new in a new image that is ready and willing to work. JC, thanks for the $5 super chat. Yes, I am the new VC. Boom, we did it. I took over the takeover, if you guys know what I mean. But let's bring on my guest tonight. I'm very excited to have a guest back on the show. My good friend, Leighton Radner, host of Outlawed Thoughts, Libertarian Party Mises Caucus organizer in Alaska, and a longtime supporter and friend of mine. Mr. Leighton, how you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right.
I'm doing good. It's been a good day today. Laid back.
It has been. Well, I had to go back to. So for like you guys that don't know, I went to the national convention, but we drove there from Iowa, and it's about a 20, if straight through without stopping, it's 23 and a half hour drive. And we made the first day, I think we were in the car for almost 18 hours. We drove from Iowa to Salt Lake City and passed out in Salt Lake City late. Woke up the next day, drove into Reno and stayed in Reno for the 3 days. We got COVID. We don't know if we had it before we got there or right as we got there, but my son was already coughing and stuff when we got there. But
everybody was getting COVID, man.
Yeah, everybody got COVID at the convention, it sounds like. And, thankfully it seems to be a different disease than it was in the 2 years ago. It's way more mild for most people. My son was really, really sick, though, and then so we took him to the hospital in the morning and found out that he had COVID. So I didn't return on Sunday. Of course, the kids all had coughs. Julia got really sick. I thought I was getting a fever for like 2 hours on Sunday, and then nothing ever came of it. So I was just like, okay, well, I either don't have COVID or it just is not going to affect me like it did the first time I had it. But we left there and went to see my 80-year-old grandmother with COVID. So all you grandma killing fanatics, we didn't kill her. She didn't get sick. She had just the day before we got up there, just tested positive or negative for COVID for the first time after having it for a week. And so she wasn't worried about us coming up. So we went up there and quarantined with my grandma and her partner for 2 days, and then went and saw my mom and my sister and all them up in Portland for another 2 or 3 days. So we were already way over symptoms by the time we left there, and then we basically just drove into
I think anybody who has a bigger family. I mean, I grew up with 4 brothers and kind of just everybody kind of living in Alaska. If you have a big family, there's no quarantining.
Yeah,
it's like well, everybody. If somebody's got a cold, even if you live in different households, every's going to get.
Oh yeah, shit. Well we found out that my son, my 16-month-old son Mateo, who you guys have met on the show before, he had COVID. We found that out on Sunday morning at like 7 a.m. So I was like 2 hours away from going back to the convention because I felt fine. I was a little hungover because I did hang out with a lot of libertarians.
So was everyone else.
Yeah, I hung out with a lot of libertarians Saturday night after the vice chair election, and I won. And it was kind of cathartic, man. Like I had put in a lot of work over the last 5 years. I traveled. I was telling somebody I had been to like 47 states or something for my different campaigns. It was my 60th convention over the last 5 years. That national convention was my 60th convention, third national convention in a row. I've sacrificed homes and jobs and relationships and all kinds of shit for these campaigns. So it was really cathartic and just like, it felt really good to win. You know what I mean? Like after all that I had been through and all the shit that these people had put me through for trying to change the party and make it more successful, like it just felt really, really good. And so I went out and hung out with people, man, and partied and drank. And I got back to the hotel room at like 4:30 in the morning and laid down my son, and he was just like, he was very hot, dude, and he was like panting kind of. And Julia woke up, and I was like, "Sweetie, we gotta take him to the hospital. This isn't good, you know." Of course, I stayed back with the other kids while she took him to the hospital, and then she called me at like 7:30 or 7:00. She's like, "Yeah, he's got COVID," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, oh
game
shit."
over.
You know, I'm like, well, and so I immediately start texting people like, "Yo, I got COVID. I can't come back to the convention. And if any of you guys are sick, you might want," you know what I mean? Like I'm sorry, I didn't meet, you know, it wasn't like I did it on purpose. And, you know, my kids get sick.
No one could have. I kept trying. So this is an actual debate that I got on Facebook, because I get in these stupid arguments sometimes with these outside kind of hokey libertarian types. And I had a debate with somebody who was talking about how somebody went to the convention sick and got other people sick, and this is all horrible. And I was like, have you ever been to conventions? Like, this is a thing that exists not only in political spaces, but if you go to like a Comic-Con, if you go to an anime convention, if you go to Magic tournaments, any of this shit, like, which I've gone to all three of those, you're going to get sick almost every time if you have a shitty immune system, or if you're at all immune compromised, even in the littlest bit.
Right.
It's called convention cold. Like,
and you know, I just talked about how I've been to like 60 conventions over the last 5 years.
I guarantee you've got a pretty good immune system, and you still got it.
Well, and let me tell you, like, this is over the last 5 years, it's the sickest I've been in my entire life. And it was because, you know, I was, you know, the first campaign especially, right? I would fly out every single Friday morning, fly back every single Sunday evening. I'd work 4 10s Monday through Thursday, and then I'd fly out again on Friday morning and back on Sunday night. And I did that. I actually did that for like 4 months straight, every single week, dude. And I was sick. Like, I got sick a lot, right? And then what I think was the first time I had COVID was January of 2020. I flew to Atlanta, Georgia for
right around the time I think I got it the first time.
And I was flying in and out of San Francisco that second campaign. Every single time I flew out, I was flying out of San Francisco, right? And you take the BART train, and it drops you off in the international terminal. You got to walk all the way through the international terminal to get to the domestic terminals. And 5,000 people a day travel between China and San Francisco International Airport. And so I flew into Atlanta. I did the convention. By the last day of the convention, I wasn't feeling very good. By the time I got home, I had 102-degree fever, and I was sick for like a week. It felt like I had pneumonia. But we didn't know COVID was here. So it was like, I was like, oh, man, I got the flu or something. But then I tested negative for the flu at the doctor. And so I was like, oh, I don't fucking, maybe it's a really bad sinus infection, I guess. I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that's, you know, I had that OG variant, dude, and it got pretty sick.
Yeah,
I just didn't know.
I know I had it twice. Because the second time, so I had the original variant, but I didn't test. So I don't know for sure if I actually had it, right? So you just have to go off of like, well, I lost my sense of taste for a while.
Right.
And I couldn't really smell very well for like 6 months.
Well,
so that's probably
that
it.
symptom for me has always been a funny thing because I'm a cigarette smoker, right? I've been a cigarette smoker for like 25 years, dude. I have to douse shit in hot sauce and sugar and to taste anything anyways. I can't smell anything because my nose hasn't worked for fucking ever, right? Like I've had my nose broken 11 times, right?
Oh, jeez.
And so like my nose does not work. It does not work, dude, at all. Like I have to go and get major surgery on my face to make my nose work, like essentially like a full rhinoplasty to make my nose work.
Yeah, you got to get the whole reconstruction.
Yeah, it's just done. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that about me, but you know, I played a lot of sports. I did a lot of fighting.
It gets to be the giant knot of just rebuilt up stuff up there, you know.
Nothing gets through my nose, so I don't smell good, I don't taste good, and everyone's like, oh, I lost my sense of taste. I'm like, oh, I lost my sense of taste like 20 years ago. You know, I don't even know. I don't know what shit tastes like. I just know what hot sauce tastes like.
I have a ton of friends of mine, like my 18-year-old brother, he's like kind of more on the anarchist side of things, and so he's like the one I talk to the most. He got COVID, and right afterwards he's had zero like he can't eat certain meats. If he eats like chicken or beef or pork now, it tastes off.
Rancid.
He explains it as tasting like plasticky chemicals.
Yeah.
It's affected him for a long time now. It's been like months. It's this long COVID thing.
Well, there was this time, so when I think I had COVID the second time, because I think I've had COVID a second time, and maybe that's why I didn't even feel it this time, or I didn't have it. every morning I get coffee at the Hy-Vee gas station, right, before I go to work. And every morning my coffee would taste like it was rotting. Like the milk was bad or something. Like it was just every morning.
Weird.
And I'm like, and Julia, my fiance, I always buy her coffee in the morning too, because we ride to work together. She takes me to work and then comes back and hangs out with the kids all day. But I buy her a coffee, I buy me a coffee, and she's like, coffee tastes fine. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, fucking tastes. I don't know what's going on. It tastes off. I never even thought about it. The fact that it probably could have been from the COVID or whatever.
Well, that might make sense too, because like coffee and meat are both like bitter in certain ways, so they probably have a similar like flavor profile. It was just wonky, and for him it's affected his diet a lot because it's like chicken and stuff like that is like makes up a ton of it. But yeah, the second time I got it, I tested my, not for COVID, but I tested a few weeks after I had thought I had it. I went and got one of the antibody tests, and my antibodies were high,
pretty high,
or whatever the region of high was that they told me. And so I was like, well, that must mean that's what that was. And then this third time I got whatever the newest variant was, and I went and I got a test after the fact.
Yeah, the newest variant, whatever the hell it is, it's very mild. I think
it barely felt it.
Yeah, the only person it affected like worse was my 16-month-old son, and even then it was like only really fucked him up when he was sleeping. And most babies when they're sick and they go to sleep, it's worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he'd wake up, he'd be smiling and playing. He was really needy and wanted to be held onto all the time. And something about this sickness. So my son has been obsessed with his mother since he was born. I mean, she can't walk out of the room for 5 seconds if he'll start screaming and crying. Always wants to be held, carried around everywhere. He got sick in Reno on this road trip, and all of a sudden he doesn't want to let me go anymore. It like switched overnight. And so now my son is like obsessed with me and is totally cool without hanging out with his mom, which, it feels
weird.
good.
I wonder what causes that.
No idea.
That's got to be some kind of like legitimate mental shift.
It was really strange, dude. I mean, we would go into a restaurant and she'd try to pick him up and carry him into the restaurant with us on our road trip. And I'm telling you, he would scream and cry until I grabbed him and then he'd stop. I don't know. It was very strange because it's never been like that. If I took him from mama, he was like screaming, and now it's the complete opposite. It's kind of cool, man. I don't know.
How was the drive up going from where you're at over to Reno?
Well, so like I said, we did that first day. We did like a marathon, and we drove from Iowa to Salt Lake City. And fell asleep, and it was good. It was nice, and I bought 2 headrest DVD players for the minivan so the kids could watch movies.
That's a good investment.
That really helped out. I went to the Walmart like bargain DVD bin and bought like a stack of like kids DVDs for the kids.
There's a model on Amazon I've sent to people who have kids because it has a USB.
That's what we have.
Plug on
we
it.
have a USB
and
plug on ours.
What I had set up is I had a thumb drive that I had just ripped a bunch of movies onto.
Yep.
And so you could just be like, oh, there's a thumb drive in the little seat cushion and there's 200 movies on it.
That's smart. And I should do that because it does have that on there. But
yeah, it's perfect.
So we drove from there to Salt Lake City, then we drove into Reno. We stayed the 3 days or 4 days in Reno. Drove into California to see my grandmother, drove up to Portland to see my mom and sister. Then on our way out of Portland, we stopped in Spokane, Washington, had dinner with my friend Perry Nord at the Spaghetti Factory in downtown Spokane. That was really cool to see him. He's been a longtime friend and supporter of the show as well. And then we left Spokane and we drove as far as we could that night. We got through the panhandle of Idaho and into Montana. And we were trying to make it to Missoula, and it was so far. We were about an hour and a half out of Missoula, Montana. It was the middle of the night. I was exhausted. We found some little small town. I tried to go get a motel. We got pulled over by the cops for going like 4 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I turned around because I was down some side shitty road, and I was like, oh, I can't find this motel. I got to turn around. He thought I was trying to run from him because I was making a U-turn.
Jesus.
And pulled me over. Really nice. He was like a sheriff. He wasn't a cop. And the sheriffs in Montana, they're a little different.
They're a little bit better.
Yeah, and he was really, really nice and let us go. Didn't give us a ticket or anything like that. But he's like, there's a car show in town this weekend, so you won't find any open hotels here until you get to Missoula. And I was like, damn it, dude. It's already like 1:30 and we're in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, you're telling me there's a car show in this little middle of nowhere town? He's like, yep. unfortunately, it's a bad week. And so we did end up driving to Missoula that night, stayed the night there, and then woke up the next day and drove into Yellowstone. We were about three and a half hours away from the west entrance. And then we get into Yellowstone and we want to see everything, and I'm like, oh, we're, Yellowstone, we're not that far from the house. We'll be out in Wyoming. We'll be close. And we get to the Old Faithful and it's like 7:30 at night. And we're going to, we're waiting until 7:59 to see the Old Faithful explode or whatever. And I look at the GPS and it says we have 17 and a half hours to go to get home. And I have to work on Monday morning. And this is Saturday. This is Saturday night, right? And I'm like, oh, sweetie, we got to go. We got to get out of here right now. So we got to haul ass. So we come out of the east exit of Yellowstone. And I'm thinking, the west entrance, there's like bars and restaurants and hotels and gas stations and all this shit. And I was like, east entrance going to be the same thing, right? So we come out of the east entrance. No, dog. No.
It's barren.
It's fucking nothing for hours. We drove through the Grand Tetons, all the way through the Grand Tetons. Then I was like, okay, well, after the Grand Tetons National Forest, there's going to be something, right? And then we get into the Shoshone National Forest, and then all of a sudden it's pitch black. We don't see a street light for 3 hours, bro. A single street light. We're in the middle of nowhere. I can feel we're
like
going.
You're in Alaska.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I feel like we're going over mountains and stuff. There's nothing lit up. I have a half a tank of gas, and I'm freaking out, right? And the only signs we see are lit up road signs that say "Don't stop for the bears." Right? And I'm like, oh shit, this is terrible. If we get fucking stranded out here. Finally, after about an hour or so, we come by a gas station that has there's nothing. It's not open. It's all dark.
But it's got the card thing.
The pumps were on, so I was like, oh, thank God. And then we finally come out into a little small town called Dubois or whatever in Wyoming, and nothing's open but one bar. And so I'm like, I'm out of cigarettes. The kids are starving. It's like midnight already, and I'm like, I'm gonna go in this bar and see if they have any food. So I park and I walk in, and it's like the record skips, right? And I'm like, do you guys have any food here by chance? And do you sell cigarettes? He's like, I got both, but I only got frozen corn dogs. And I was like, perfect. The kids will eat corn dogs. So
that'll work.
Yeah, I'm hanging out in this bar.
That's gold.
After coming out in this mountain. I'm hanging out in this bar waiting for these corn dogs, and there's like young people in there, but it said like the population 28 or some dumb shit on the sign. And I'm like, where did all these people come from? He's like, you're looking at everybody who lives in this town, And I was like,
they're all here drinking.
And I was like, for 3 hours west of this town, there's nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. I think we saw 2 cars on that road the whole time we were on it for 3 hours. So we get the corn dogs, and he's like, yeah, you're probably not going to find a hotel here, but if you drive about an hour east more, you're going to find a little town that's got some places. So we ended up staying in Wyoming that night, woke up 8 o'clock in the morning. We still had about 12 and a half hours left. And we just started hauling ass to home. We got home 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, yesterday morning. And then I woke up for work yesterday morning at 5:30 to go to work yesterday, and then today, and now I'm off for 2 days, so finally get to rest.
Perfect.
That was our trip. That was the whole trip, but we made a lot of really cool family memories. We got to have a lot of good food.
The craziest road trip we ever had, we bought a minivan in Seattle. It was me and my whole family. It was like, we bought it for $900, I think, in Seattle. We put 51,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
And when we started that trip 2 days before we left Seattle to start the trip with this van that we had bought, I went to open the side door, the sliding door on it, and the whole fucking thing popped off the track and fell onto the ground, and we duct taped it. So for the entire road trip, that door was just duct taped shut.
Oh my goodness.
We had like 9 tires that we replaced on that trip. It was nuts.
Well, we did like 5,100 miles in 12 days.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah, people don't realize that, like, people hear the number 50,000 miles and they think that was nuts. I'm like, well, nah, not really. It was like 2 months of driving, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
like nonstop.
We did that. Yeah, we did that in 12. We did 5,100 miles in 12 days, and we did a lot of stops. I mean, a lot. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like for days at a time. Obviously, we were in Reno for 4 days. We were in California for 2 days. Portland, Oregon for 2 days, and we stayed places. So it wasn't like we were just driving straight through, and we still put 5,100 miles.
Motel 6s, man.
Yeah, and it was funny because I got an oil change right before we left because you want to be ready for the road and shit. And by the time we get home, we're 2,000 miles overdue for a new oil change. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
You're right back to the same place again. Well, yeah. I think that I was watching the stream of the convention,
right?
From my living room because I did not make it to the convention. I wanted to, but unfortunately, I didn't get to be a delegate. I didn't actually make it to the state convention. I literally went to the state convention, like I physically went from Seward up there all the way to Wasilla.
I was pretty sad you weren't there, buddy.
And then, like 3 hours. So I got up there. I couldn't get a room at the place I was going to get. And then I ended up not having, I had cash, but I couldn't get money put on the card.
Right.
And so there's no hotel options. And I was stuck up there with the option of just chilling for 8 hours until the convention floor opened and then just figuring it out from there or driving back. And so I ended up driving back and I figured we didn't have a big enough presence Mises-wise at that convention regardless. And the people we have it on our state level, a lot of them I do get along with. So
Alaska's always had really cool guys there.
And technically speaking, because we don't have... So because of the super region shenanigans that went on and involvement there, I'm pretty sure that was what happened. But Alaska does not have... a region,
right?
Which means that I think technically
I'm your region rep, buddy.
Region rep.
Yeah, there's a few states.
It all kind of worked out anyway.
Yeah, there's a few states now that I'm the region rep for, and I'm gonna start. I want to start a chat with the homeless regions, the orphan regions, so that I can talk with you guys and figure out how we get you all back in a region by the next convention. But yeah, man. And I look forward to representing the orphans. That's what I do. You know what I mean? I take them in my house. I take them into my political ideology. That's not just, I'm living my philosophy, dog.
Yep. Well, when I was watching the convention, we had the Florida, a bunch of the swamp creature people all in a Discord for a bunch of it. And so when the VC race came up, it was definitely the most contentious because we kept seeing the vote totals come up on screen and they were horrible about putting stuff up.
Sure.
So at first I saw the first vote go through and everybody else kind of had a similar reaction to I think you did, where you were like, oh, well, that's going to be my total. It's not going to move.
Right.
But I was in the Discord kind of going, well, wait, because my guess is, because I had said from the very beginning, two things were going to happen. I said this months ago, not only on my show, but other people's chats. I was like, it makes sense for the loser brigade piece of shit types that are there to try to get votes for Josh, because it's obvious that Angela didn't want you as a VC pick over Eric. I think that's pretty much out there. The endorsements were pretty clear, which ended up being kind of hilarious to watch play out from the watching the stream perspective. So I was telling people that no, I think they're going to end up turning around either during the first vote or the second vote, because I was kind of convinced that it was going to go to second vote, that they were going to go campaign for you. And then somebody told me that was kind of happening, which was funny. And then the second thing was, I was like, there's also a bunch of people that are going to get motivated by the fact that all the other candidates and write-ins and people around everyone else in the first vote was going to drop away. And I think that was enough. And I know you were working the room because I had people tell me you were working the room. I had a couple of friends on the floor. Man.
Well, look, let me explain it. It's actually a really funny story. First of all, if you followed my first two chair campaigns, I had a floor.
I followed the second.
Yeah, you were there for the second one, but I followed. I had a floor campaign. I had a floor plan. I had I had a Excel spreadsheet that had all my state delegate whips. They were working the delegations, trying to get people to vote for me. They were helping me place literature. I had signs. I had all that shit. Right. I really put it all on the line. I spent every dollar I could. I did it all. Right. I organized. This time I was like, nah, man, I'm not gonna.
You did it.
I was like, I'm
you're
not gonna,
already there.
yeah, I was like, I'm not going to do any of this shit. Like all these people, look, I knew I'd been following the delegate hard count, right? I knew that like 65 to 70% of the delegation was Mises or Mises friendly. And that wasn't including the people that I knew that aren't in the Mises caucus that are my friends that would still vote for me, right?
Yeah.
And so in my head, I was like, okay, well, this is how it's going to work. I'm not going to go there and be the campaigner that I normally am, right? I'm going to go there and talk to people where they're at and say, hey, look, man, you guys know me. You know why I'm here. And that's it. Like, I'm going to do the things that I've said I was going to do for the last 5 years. I have the opportunity to do that from the vice chair role, and that's what I'm going to do. And so I was just going to leave it at that. I wasn't going to campaign on the floor other than talking to people where they're at, right? And I knew that either the Mises caucus was going to elect me or they were going to not elect me. And I was going to come home and take some time off and do the show and get everything back together and do my shit here, right? Or they were going to elect me and they're going to give me that opportunity to prove.
When did you know that Dave was talking?
A while back.
A while ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured, and here's why. Because from my perspective, I was like, I knew Dave had to pop up somewhere. Like that was kind of my thought in the back of my head. I was like, Dave's got to be there and then I was like, then somebody said, oh, pay attention to who you were going to have endorse.
Well, and so that was kind of like, that was, I didn't want to tell anybody because I knew it would leave the Rodsept campaign time to find somebody else to like try and put in that position.
No, that was smart.
And so I, God bless her. I know Angela wanted Eric Rodsept and I still support Angela. I'm super stoked to be working with her. I'm texting her every day. I want her to know that I'm here for her. I got her back, whatever it takes. Right. But I know that she didn't expect Dave to endorse me. And so she went up there and did his speech after they found out, from what I understand. But the funniest thing about all this, and it's hilarious, Sasha Cohen, who I dislike greatly, he's called me a Nazi and fascist and all kinds of other things. He comes up to me. I'm smoking in the casino because you just run downstairs, you smoke in the casino. I heard this. And run back up, right? And so a lot of people don't know this yet, but this is hilarious, dude. This is probably the funniest thing that happened at the entire convention next to the vice chair debate with Joe Hotman, which I can show you guys some highlights of in a bit.
That was fucking...
Yeah. So
I got some things to say about
that. So Sasha comes up to me and he goes, I don't like you. And I said, that's great. I don't like you either. But, it's, I don't know why you don't like me. It's all made up and bullshit and whatever. So, but he's like, it really seems to me like you would be the thorn in Angela's side if you got elected to vice chair. And I wanted to be like, are you fucking dumb, dude? Like, are you really stupid? Like, do you think I'm going to hurt the caucus by being vice chair? No, absolutely not. I helped build the caucus, dude. Like, I was the guy that was the face of the caucus for years, before Dave Smith, before Tom Woods, before Scott Horton, before anybody was really, well, I guess Scott was kind of around in the beginning, but before anyone was really involved, before we had endorsements from Ron Paul and all these great people, like, I was the guy. I was like, all right, I'm going to take this on my back and go around the country and try and build this with you, right? So, like, why would I do anything to hurt the caucus? Like, unless they really, they really had to fuck me over real bad to make me get loud, right? And there was a time where I said something because I was upset about what was going on, but it wasn't like a detrimental thing, and I didn't want to take it down, and I told people I still want you to support the caucus. I think it's an amazing venture.
Going back to that is kind of where one of the things that I was involved in to begin with was because I went on Swamp Creatures when Eric was kind of picked as being the Mises candidate behind the scenes-ish.
Right.
And made it a little less behind the scenes.
Sure.
And then you uploaded the edited clip of that. And then I think that clip got a ton of views because collectively, like, I love Twitter because Twitter just gives you that little ticker in the corner and lets you know, okay, enough people saw this that it counted.
Yep.
And then it was pretty much on after that. And then of course, like I did those the edits of Eric, but those were in jest. I hope he doesn't think I'm I dislike the guy. I just think he was very easily targetable with some of that stuff.
Yeah, well, and so, I had my issues, but I wasn't like, I looked at it as we had a fundamental disagreement on the direction of that role. So I was going to run, and I knew, and I told Mike this repeatedly, I think I have the delegate support still. So if you watch the ballots, the first ballot I was ahead by 2%. The second ballot, I was ahead by 4%. The third,
I had a pen and paper.
The third ballot, I was ahead barely, but it dropped Eric off. So this is what happened. Sasha Cohen came to me and said, it really feels like you're going to be a thorn in Angela's side. And in my head, like I said, I was like, what a fucking stupid thing to say. Like, of course I'm going to support Angela. She's my homie. I love her to death. She's going to be a great chair. We're going to turn this fucking party around. It's going to be an amazing party, right? But then I stopped myself. Instead of replying like I normally would, I said, yeah, man, you guys are going to need me on that board because I'm going to, if Angela does something wrong, I'm going to be the only guy that calls her out on that board. He goes, yeah, man, I bet you will. You're going to make things really hard for her. I said, yeah, dude, it's going to be really hard for her. And he went back and he told Nick Sarwark and he told Jackie Perry and Daryl Perry, and they fucking started whipping the anti-Mises people to vote for me, dude. Okay?
Let's Daryl Perry, man.
And so listen, so that 2% that I was ahead on the first ballot, you guys can thank Nick Sarwark for.
Shit.
That 4%,
that's great.
That 4% on the second ballot, you can thank Nick Sarwark and Sasha Cohen and the Perrys for. They're the ones that put me ahead, thinking that I was going to tarnish the brand, that I was going to ruin Angela's chance of being a good chair, that I was going to bring down ballot access, that I was going to bring down all this shit. I was going to be that guy. And so they put me over the edge. They're the reason that I got the win on the first three. And then they all hopped off on the fourth ballot and tried to vote Noda, right?
Yeah. And which you could see. Yeah.
And it's like, hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but my caucus, even the ones that were voting for Eric in the first couple of rounds, they're not going to vote.
They weren't going to vote Noda. Yeah, they weren't going to do that. So it was like, yeah.
So it was pretty funny. The whole thing, I at the end, when it all came down to the end, it was like, I knew it was going to be a close race between Eric and I. I always knew that. And so I had to do a little politicking. And that's, this was my third national campaign for an officer position. It's not like I don't know how the game works. So I played the game a little bit, man, and we won. And now we are where we are. And I'm super stoked. Like I said in the beginning of this and just now, I love Angela. I think she's a great chair. And I'm going to support her in every way possible as the vice chair. And I'm certainly not going to try to bring her down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's flying the plane, dude. I'm not going to wreck the plane.
No need to.
Thank you, Nicholas Sarwark, for electing me as vice chairman. I guess he wasn't a liar, because he did say, and I said in my speech when I was first running for chair in 2018, he said, "Why don't you run for at-large a couple times, and then run for vice chair, and then I'll support you after that, right?" And so he wasn't a liar. He kept true to his word, and he supported a Josh Smith for vice chair campaign.
Nothing summarizes the night of that whole thing better than the photo that was being shared around of Sarwark with his head in his hands. That's been everywhere.
Well, there was nothing better of that night than until he decided that he wanted to play LeBron James on the convention floor.
Oh, the Jussie Smollett, the Smollett play.
Dude, that was hilarious. I watched that video because I
unauthorized recording. Stephen Nikala.
Yeah, Stephen Nikala. He's on. There's an unauthorized recording. And it was like, so there's another video that if you haven't seen it, in Nikala's where Nikala is actually recording his conversation with the police, because Nicholas Sarwark called the police on the guy that he ran into. I haven't
got to hear that.
And the police tell him, I'm not going to say it verbatim, but I think they said they saw the video of what happened after he's telling the cops that he was assaulted and all this shit. By the way, the guy that he supposedly tried to pull this little scam on is not even Mises Caucus.
No, I heard that as well. Yeah, that because I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, and so he's telling the cops,
Juicy
Sarwark, and then Stephen Nikala shows him the video, and the cops go, "Man, this is some high school level girl shit. Don't call us again." Right?
Yeah.
And that was their answer to just Juicy Sarwark.
He's a lawyer. He knows better than that shit or whatever the fuck he does for a living.
Yeah.
And I watched the video, and that was the first thing I did was like, well, there was no act of aggression there to constitute an assault. So it's like, just, this is a wash.
It just blows my mind, man. But the whole thing was a good time, and we, a lot of years of work and blood and sweat and tears went into that this takeover that everybody calls it. And I know that some of the people in the MC wanted to back away from the takeover language. I got stronger in my takeover language. Yeah, I got stronger in my takeover language, especially over the last 3 or 4 years with these people calling my jobs to try and get me fired and attacking my family and literally fucking grooming my 15-year-old daughter to use as a political pawn.
That shit pissed me off.
Yeah.
And so, backstory on me was like I was at one point going to kind of split off and just kind of call myself a Liberty Movement thing. One of the reasons why I joined up and kind of became permanent members of things and started organizing was because of kind of the attack on the internet against you and one other person at the same time that I was wrapped up in like comment sections and stuff of. It pissed me off. And like, I guess, so that's one thing we could talk about is aftermath, like the post Reno. Right.
Yeah. Post Reno is beautiful, man. It's a beautiful libertarian world right now.
I've seen what I would consider to be less like reeing online than I expected, which I know a lot of people thought was surprising when I updated people on my show. I did like a recap thing with a couple of people who were there. And I was like, yeah, I didn't see as much bitching on Facebook and Twitter as I expected to see. The loser brigade types are going to do their thing, of course. But as far as I'm concerned, those people are irrelevant now because it's like, well, you have no ability to do anything. Like you're kind of like outside of the space we should be worrying about at this point. Yeah, it's been really good. I've seen so far like the tweets coming out of National I've been liking. There was a whole uproar about the whole so actually here we could talk about this on the post-libertarian side of things.
Sure.
The reaction from that, I made a prediction on my show, which was that I think the post-libertarians after Reno have to just oppose pretty much. They have to oppose anything they can coming out of the LP no matter what. And the reasoning behind that has become ultimately because the whole post-libertarian thing started because they didn't think the Mises Caucus was going to work or it wasn't working fast enough, in my opinion. And now the LP is under Mises Caucus control, or however you want to call it, right? The takeover has been successful and we can move forward from there. And so I feel like their only reaction is either you have to just hate on everything that comes out of it. And one of the things that I think pointed that out was like, there was the Pride tweet that the Mises Caucus put out. And that kicked up some whole.
Well, the Mises Caucus didn't put that out.
Not Mises. I mean, sorry.
LP National put that out.
LP National. On the LP National Twitter. I misspoke there. And I had no problem with that tweet. And I talked about on my show how I didn't really have a problem with it. But some people got really butthurt about it. And when I started looking into who was getting butthurt about it, it's all post-libertarian people.
Well, sure.
And I'm like,
yeah.
This thing seems stupid.
I wasn't super happy about it either. And it wasn't the tweet itself.
I said the timing was off.
Yeah, the tweet was fine. I think the tweet was fine, but the hashtag was unneeded, and I don't want to pander.
I'd agree with that.
I don't want to pander to Pride. Look, I
don't need the hashtag. I agree with that,
dude.
Because that removes the only thing they mentioned about Pride in that was the hashtag, correct?
Right. Yeah, it was all the hashtag was the big problem, and I get that. I understand it entirely because, look, dude, listen, the corporations say we're gay this month, we're all gay this month, okay? And I don't want to play into that. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool, man. I don't care if you're fucking gay. I don't care if you're straight. I don't care what you do with your wiener or your vagina or your butthole, right? Like, I just don't give a shit. You're free to do whatever you want to do. But man, I'm not playing into the fucking like, oh, we get a whole month to talk about our sexuality. Like, dude, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't want my kids at the Pride Parade because I'm from Oakland.
Oh.
I'm from Oakland.
I apparently upsetted a bunch of people by saying that on my show that I wasn't. We watched the clip that Stein posted, Stein 99. The post. I can't remember his name, but he posted on Twitter of the dance, the drag me to drag your kids or whatever event that went on where they were like dancing with clothes on, but dancing and kids were putting clothes and like
so some people,
money and clothing and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if I like that.
Some people may have different experiences at Pride, okay? and that's fine. But I've been to Pride in San Francisco several years. I'm from the Oakland area. I've been and let me tell you, dude, there's fucking wieners everywhere.
I've seen one of the Pride events in Florida, and it was very similar.
Gay sex and
there's latex and dicks
orgies
everywhere.
And fucking all kinds of shit on the street at the parade. And I don't want my kids around that shit, dude. Like, and I don't give a fuck that it's gay. I'd say the same thing if it was a straight Pride parade and people were doing the same things.
Right. Dave Smith made the point of like Hooters and stuff like that. Like, it's like I wouldn't take my 7-year-old to Hooters necessarily or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily either. But like, there's a difference even because there's like a fine line between like I've seen like I've been in Florida during one of them and it was like a big parade system where it was going down the middle of the road and it was fine. Most of it was fine, but you couldn't look at it at any point in time without seeing something, including exposed genitalia, exposed breast,
right,
or just shit that I think is too suggestive for something like anybody under 10, 11 years old even to see.
Right.
And even above that, like, yeah, I don't want my 13-year-old seeing someone's dick either.
Right.
Like, I have a problem with that in general.
Well, here's a good example in the chat here. David Brady from the Road to Providence said, my idea of Pride Month is listening to the Blackbird podcast, which is with James Gentleman, who's a good friend of mine and very based gay. I talk about it all the time.
No, James is awesome.
But I talked to James recently and he was asking me if I knew if somebody else was gay or whatever. And I said, James, I didn't know you were gay until you brought it up, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't give a shit. Like, I don't care. He's like one of my best friends.
I met James. I don't think he remembers it, but I think I did meet him at one point at I think it was Tom Woods.
Sure.
2000. And yeah, it was nice. I wouldn't have been you can't just guess something. I mean, I don't have the best gaydar in general, but I don't think you can just like most people that I meet that are based in this community that turn out to be gay or part of those communities even aren't like noticeable.
Well, and it's like, dude,
it's like dude, not a trait that they carry on their sleeve.
Before all this shit, like I didn't walk up to people like, yo, what's up? My name's Josh. I fuck women. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, no one cares. No one cares.
No one gives a shit. Yeah. Like and that's my thing is I'm not okay with like the identity politics side of it. And Pride to me kind of feeds into that. Like the whole thing is become part of that. Like
and it's
to
fun.
me,
Listen,
that tweet would be perfect. Specifically talking about it,
but even here's the thing: like, I don't care about the Pride parade. Like, dude, if you want to have a parade,
you can have it. I don't.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like,
I'm not going to take my kids to it.
Yeah, I don't. I just don't think you should be bringing kids. And it's a prominent member of the Libertarian Party, or as prominent as he can be. Posted a picture of his 7-year-old kid.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, at the Pride Parade today and said, you know, my kid loves going every year. And I said, and I brought up the fact that, yo, dude, I've been to the San Francisco one, and he's in Atlanta, Georgia. And I said, you know, I've been to the San Francisco one. I see what goes on there. It's not something you should brag about bringing your kids to a situation like that. It's, you know, in my opinion, it's not a place for children. He said, well, I've never seen anything like that in Atlanta. So I immediately looked up Atlanta Pride Parade 2022 and immediately started getting images of dudes literally jerking their dick on floats at the Atlanta Parade.
Yeah,
immediately
so as somebody
this year.
That can talk about generally Atlanta in general because I have like a lot of friends in that area.
Right.
There's a very active gay community there, and I can imagine it's very similar to the one that is in California or those areas.
Well, San Francisco's kind of been like at the forefront of this parade and these.
Well,
things,
yeah,
right?
I guess that's true. I guess you could maybe compare it to general California and not San Francisco. San Francisco is like, dude, they had poop maps. Like, I don't know.
That's a
how
legit.
far do you
that's a
have
legit
to go?
thing. And I just took.
It still is.
I just took my kids to San Francisco. Right, like we went when we were in.
We were there like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, when we were in the Bay Area, we went. I took the kids down to. I took them down to the Fisherman's Wharf, and we just walked the wharf. Kind of stayed away from everybody. We didn't have COVID symptoms anymore, but we just stayed away from everybody. And then I took them to the beach in Pacifica, and we sat on the beach. But yeah, San Francisco. Well, I grew up going to San Francisco. And it was like a great city, dude. Like there was a lot, you know, the X Games were there on the piers every year. They had ball games and football games and there, you know, there's all kinds of parades and celebrations and the New Year's Eve celebration. And it was just always a really cool city, dude. It is a shadow of its former self. And you know who had a lot to do with that was when he was the mayor was Gavin Newsom. And he was so shitty and so terrible.
Everybody, I forget about that.
Yeah.
Is it Newsom was the one that was in charge of that whole shit show?
Yeah, he's the one who fucked that whole city up. And then in the state of California,
1-to-1.
Well, in politics in California, you fell upwards, right? And so, you know, we have the Pelosi's.
My grandfather still lives there. My biological one. That was where my dad's technically, like, my dad was born in Orange County. But he moved away from there to Alaska at a pretty young, youngish age, and moved around Hawaii and other.
Well, I'm born and raised there, man. You know what I mean? And I still have like nostalgia for San Francisco, and there's still parts of San Francisco that I really enjoy, like the wharf. I think Fisherman's Wharf's really cool. It's really touristy, but it's a cool place. The Pier 39 is really cool. They got some really, the financial district is a lot of fun to go shopping in. If you want to go shopping, they have really cool malls like on every fucking corner. You got you got Haight Street. That's really, really cool. And
that's where I want to hang out.
Yeah, they got that old the old Ben and Jerry's. They got Hippie Hill there. They got all the cool head shops. Like, there's a lot of cool things about San Francisco. You still got, the bays right there. You can go take your little trip to Alcatraz, and it's a fucking cool city, dude. But it's just the politics suck. You can't make under $1 million and live in the city anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's kind of like, almost in a sense, a lot of the areas in New York, all those areas have become the same thing where you have to make so much. I mean, like, even in Alaska, like, our rent prices have gotten insane, and everybody keeps going, well, there's going to be this big burst and it's going to fix prices and stuff. It's like, yeah, well,
no. I'm ready, but it'll never fix the prices in San Francisco. They've always been fucked.
Yeah, no, that's fucked. But like, even here, it's getting to the point where, like, housing's non-existent in the town I live in,
right.
And it's literally just because of the city council and the government here, because they don't, like, they want to keep it the way they want to keep it, and so people can't move in, and so they're just flooding the areas, little nooks and crannies, and and then that seems to be happening everywhere, because I think pretty much every small town, whether you're in the south or north like we are, wherever the fuck you are, has all come to the realization that financially everything's fucked around them, right? So even the areas with small populations are going into kind of government hibernation in a sense, it feels like. It's weird the way everything's played out with the libertarians, though, after fact. The people who split off, I guess, everybody kept bitching about donations, and you were the one that I saw put up the thing saying there were 37 lifetime memberships. That the one night, I think
way more than that. I think
it's gone up since then. But that was the number I saw, and I think we broke 60.
Yeah, we broke 60. No, we broke 60 in the first 24 hours. We've gone over that now. We raised $400,000 at that convention in memberships and fundraising and other things as well, not just the lifetimes. But now I'm looking at this trend of new members coming in and new people like upping their donations and becoming lifetime members. I think we're going to out fundraise the prior 5 LNCs by a magnitude of like times 5. So that's huge, dude. That's a really big deal. And I'm super stoked to see it, dude. Like, the party needs it. You know what I mean? Like, the party needed this rebranding, this revamp. They needed people who were going to be bold and brash. And Maj Touré gave a speech at the Mises Bash.
That was really good.
Best speech of the weekend. And he was right, dude. We are now in a place where we can change America, dude. We can literally change this country. We have the power to do that. We can come together, coalesce under these ideals with a political party that is sympathetic to us, that is welcoming to us, and we have the wherewithal, right, and the courage as from these people that have now come and taken over this party. We have the courage to go out and say, hey, state, we're not going to take your shit anymore. And Maj is right, buy a vest, dude, because they're that was
great.
Yeah, when you start,
then I saw Michael Heiss post that photo.
Yeah, and I was like, well, dude, I've been the one out there doing it for a couple years. You guys didn't send me a vest? Come on, Minnesota, where you at?
Karen and Harlos, I think, had a similar complaint.
Yeah, I was like, I've been doing this shit for years, dude, and now I'm at the forefront of it. You better send me a vest, dude. No, but seriously, we have the opportunity to change this country, change the narrative at the very least, and people are going to be really upset about that. So we are going to get attacked, and you have to be fucking brave and courageous and be ready to go, dude, because They're going to try to ruin you, man. They are. If my own party tried to ruin me for trying to change things in the party, imagine what the state is going to try to do to us. And you have to be ready for that. Some of us are, and Naj is absolutely right. Some people are going to fucking flip, dude. Some people are going to have bags of money sent to them and they're going to drop out and they're, you know what I mean? And, or worse. And you have to be ready for that. And I think I am. And I don't think there's many people in the party that are more ready for that than I am, because I just went through 5 years of it from my own party, So anyways, we're getting close to the end of this thing, buddy. But why don't you, before we go, why don't you tell me about the podcast, man? What's going on there? Where can people find you? What's it all about?
Yeah. So, I've got right now 3 co-hosts that are pretty consistent. That's Josh Halofka from Florida.
Love Josh, great guy.
I got Kareem Mays from PA and CD McCrae.
That's 3 great people, dude.
And it's been pretty awesome so far. We've had some like swap outs and guests on. It's mainly just kind of like a libertarian based version of Tim Pool. We're just covering news stories that come up. Nice. And LP talking about like stuff that's happening, but eventually here we're kind of shift things around to be a little more organized. I've got another show that I'm going to be starting that's more of a kind of solo or interview style thing too. Yeah, but it's all been good. We've got like 16 episodes up. Nice, and people can go check out.
Trying to give me a run for my money, bro? You're trying to catch up?
We're just doing like a weekly right now, which is I think kind of perfect. We do Monday.
Just Monday? I did 150 episodes in 1 year, and then I just dropped off for a month. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize.
No, you kill it. You were killing it because it like the upload schedule works really well, and like with your channel having the memberships and everything, and being able to do super chats, streaming is like that just makes sense. Like
yeah, but if you guys want to know the truth, if you're listening to this, this show had become pretty lucrative, and I dropped off and. It's not as lucrative anymore, so I apologize for letting you guys down. But if you're listening and you want to support Mr. Radner, where can they find you? How can they support you? Where can they listen to you?
YouTube is just Outlawed Thoughts, and it's just spelled normal. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Liberty Leighton.
Awesome. Leighton, thank you so much, man, for coming on. If you can give me like 2 minutes to close out the stream, we'll start the members only stream. We'll be in there for 10 or 15 minutes too.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. All right, guys. Another awesome episode of Break the Cycle. Leighton is super cool. Please go follow him and check out his podcast. He's a great dude, man. He really is. I've come to really enjoy hanging out with him and calling him friends. So please go support the man if you can. He's very knowledgeable on a lot of topics, and it sounds like he's got a pretty based cast of people on his show. All really good friends of mine as well. So that's gonna be fun. Definitely gonna be added to my rotation. And I do listen to a lot of podcasts at work, guys. Like I was just saying, the show did become a lot less lucrative. And I started focusing on the campaign at the end there to try and get that win. We got it. We got the win. And so I'm back to doing the show. Tomorrow night I'll have sorry, let me check my schedule. I'm not that cool. Oh yeah, I'll have Bull Johnson from Minnesota on running for Senate there. He did not, due to unforeseen circumstances with the election laws there, did not get on the ballot as a libertarian, but found another line in Minnesota that he can use. So he will be running there. Really awesome guy, farmer, adopter of children, somebody that I really look up to and value in this movement, his voice, because we share a lot of similarities. So I'm very excited to have that conversation with him. And then on Friday, the queen herself comes and returns to break the cycle. Angela McArdle, the new chair of the Libertarian Party National Committee, will be here. That's going to be an awesome show. We're going to talk about all the plans she has for the party, how we're going to turn it upside down and right side in, and all those great things. I'm sure we'll talk about all the very, very good plans that she has. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Super stoked. But guys, if you dropped off the Patreon, you dropped off the subscribe star or the channel memberships here, I totally get it. I did get lackadaisical there for a couple of, I guess a month. But if you haven't joined back up, we will be doing regular shows again. Like I said, I got 3 this week. Probably going to do at least 2 or 3 next week. Got some really cool stuff lined up. Talking to some really cool names now. So I think we're going to have some really fun shows. If you guys become a member, you do get all the members only streams. There's about 150 of them up there now that you haven't seen if you've never been a member. And there's going to be a lot more. So that's a lot of extra content. I think my Patreon sells for the swag, like a bunch of stuff did not get sent out, so that's getting sent out this week. Finally, hopefully those people will not, even the people that stopped being patrons that didn't get stuff will get stuff coming in the mail in the next couple weeks. So lots of new stuff for Break the Cycle. I think we're talking about doing some new intros, outros, all that great stuff. And I am talking about doing some new media for the Libertarian Party as well. So you guys know my activism. If you want to support the show and me, this is the way to do it, and I appreciate you very much. Also, please go check out my sponsors, of course. The man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, toplobster.com, where you can get this great Ron Paul getting high on the ideas of liberty shirt that you see me wearing today by using BTC at checkout for a 10% discount. Or, like I said, if you join the Patreon Subscribe Star and you get into the private Discord server with really, really fucking cool people, man, truly great people, you will get all of his new gear up to 2 weeks before it goes to the general public at a 30% discount. So really, if you're one of the smaller subscribers, it pays for itself, man. It really does, because you're going to buy the Top Lobster gear. I had no idea how much gear he had sold till I went to the national convention and I saw how many people were wearing Top Lobster, and it filled my heart with joy, man. He's such a good, lovable dude. One of my best friends in the world, and I'm just happy to have had him be a part of the show for so long without kicking me to the curb, and even when he got the job with Odyssey. So good dude, go support him, give him your money. And of course, executive producers of the show, anthemplanning.com. For all your emergency and crisis planning needs, check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at much cheaper and much more efficiently. Plus, Amy Lepora is amazing and badass, and you should be supporting her business if you have a business, because she's gonna save you money. She's gonna help you with planning. You guys are gonna be better off for it. So please go check them out. And like I said, tomorrow's show will have a video for a new sponsor that I'm very stoked about, and we will announce that tomorrow. If you're listening to it online, you will have already heard the new ad for them. So very excited about that. Guys, I love you to death. Seriously, I know it's been a rough month for my show, but we're back, baby. We're back, and we're the vice chair of a national political party, and we have a lot of really cool plans, and so I'm super stoked for that. Super stoked that you guys are still hanging around. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow for the show with Bull. But until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just meant it in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just meant it in Minecraft. Well, Chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just meant it in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse in Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Nothing I mean, you know it. No product bidders cause it closed for COVID. Holy